You know, most of us get into gardening because it's something that's joyful, brings a lot of happiness to our life, and it really becomes kind of like a therapy. And there's just something amazing about taking something as simple as this little tiny seed, putting it into the ground with a little bit of water, and getting something like this. Something that can feed us lots of food fresh from our own backyards. Now I feel like the past couple of years I have really had that feeling robbed from me. In fact, my garden has gone from a joyous place to kind of my own living hell. So during last season I got sent out of town for work and my garden really suffered for it. I wasn't here to catch any of these pests that I had, and it really hurt, you know, not being able to get ahead of the pest, to stop some of the things that happened, like eating a lot of stuff. And here we are again this year, dealing with pretty much the same issue. So the groundhogs are back for another attack, right there. And as it turns out, there's not just one groundhog, there's 3 of those suckers. 3 groundhogs, that means we're talking 3 pounds of greens every single day that they get into this garden. Now my yard is completely fenced in, so it's really hard for them to get in. I've been covering holes, I've been doing all sorts of stuff, and I'm doing my absolute best. And the number one thing to really catch these guys is to be out here all day long, because if they're bothered by you being here, then they won't be here. But since I have to work and people have lives, we can't just hang out in the garden all day. Now I had heard a rumor that if you planted a lot of garlic, you know, because we don't have a garlic farm going on here or nothing, that it would actually be a big deterrent to them. And I can tell you wholeheartedly that is completely false. They do not seem to care at all that my yard is surrounded in garlic. So as far as garlic for a pest deterrent when it comes to groundhogs, I give it a thumbs down. You see that okra right there? Yeah, you don't. Those groundhogs eat it like that. They even got my Kajari melons. Now while groundhogs are one of our biggest pests here, just by the sheer volume that they eat, we have a lot of other pests, and that's part of being in an urban environment. As you make these food oasis, and it literally gets everything here. And one of the other things I've really found that we have a big problem with is cats. And you can see all these little raised beds right here. There's a huge problem with that because they all wander the streets, these stray cats or domestic cats or whatever they are, the cats in our neighborhood, which are numerous. And they use these all as litter boxes, which is a ginormous problem. As most people know, it can be toxic to children, which is not good for me trying to raise food for my own children to have an issue like that. And then of course there's squirrels. They like to dig and bury stuff and pull stuff up. They don't necessarily eat the garden as much as they rearrange the garden, and that's the kind of havoc that squirrels cause, which is annoying, but it's not a deal breaker. They're not the ones destroying the garden and preventing us from eating. Probably one of the least talked about pests in the garden in an urban environment would be tiny children. So you see right here, you see that tomato? Yeah. That was Oski's little handiwork. He decided that that tomato was too tall and gave it a trim job. Now it's really hard to be upset at your little toddler for things that they do. You tell them no, don't do that again please, and you just hope that they don't do it again. But I don't think trapping children is very popular. And you would think that dealing with this kind of trouble, basically losing my entire garden last year, having so many problems this year, even though I am home a lot more this year, I still have to deal with these problems of these groundhogs and squirrels and kids. You think I would just give up on it, you know, because it's frustrating and you see a lot of work just go in and right back out of your garden. I've seen a lot of money going in here and out of here, seeds, but I will not let that get me down. I have a goal in mind, which is to grow a lot of food for my family And I will do that by any means necessary, because I know that that will provide the best possible food for myself and my family, and put us in a position going forward to where we will get to a point where we can sustain ourselves a lot better in case of any kind of craziness. And well, let's be pretty honest, the world is full of craziness right at this moment. So today I just wanted to share my message with you guys, which is don't give up. Many of you might be struggling like I am. Maybe you have a lot of pests, maybe you're late, you're slow on time. Don't give up. There is still time to grow a garden this year. I can still replant a lot of this stuff and I'll just have a later harvest than normal. I can still do it. I still want to do it. It's very important that we grow these gardens. It's very important if you're in an urban environment starting a garden that you get it going. This is a time to start working toward getting yourself into some kind of self-sufficiency, just preparing yourself for anything that could happen. Growing a lot of your own food can really help you in many different situations with the way our future's going. And we do get little victories along the way. There's our first one. We have to get this guy out of here because he keeps eating everything in this garden. When you make the decision to try to raise your own food, there are some things that are really tough choices that you have to make. If you're raising meat, then you have to deal with the practice of calling your animals and dressing them out so that you can eat them. They can provide you with food. And also, if you are homesteading or have a garden trying to raise your food, you occasionally have to put pests away. And that's what we have to do today. Now, neither one of those is a particularly good thing that you want to do. You never feel great about it. But you do have to defend the food that you are trying to raise by any means necessary. And for us at this point where we're at, dispatching this groundhog is going to be the only method we can really safely do, because I'm not going to push my problem onto somebody else and give them the heartache that I've been going through for the past month. So I don't take this lightly, but this is definitely a necessity when it comes to homesteading and raising your own food. So you have to really think, when you start raising your own food, are you willing to do some of the things that need to be done, whether it be calling animals for you to eat yourself, or whether it be dispatching pests so you can actually harvest the food you're raising.